welcome to Wendy's Colouring, and this is my end of the month. What have I got coloured this month? Well, I've got a few coloured, not as many as I'd liked as usual, but yeah, got some done. So we'll go through and I'll show you. So we'll do the ones that you've probably seen already if you've been on the channel. So I did do a first look and colour in this one, which is Mandalas by Collier. Volume 3, and I did this one that's again it's on the channel as a little video that's just my totally forgot what they're called. My brain's gone blank. My Spectrum Noir tri-brush pens, so it's all Spectrum Noir markers, and then some of my Signo glittering gel pens of the glittery bits, just to give it a little bit of bling. And yeah, like I say, it's on the channel if you want to watch me actually do it. It's simple enough. I'm umming and ahhing about putting a background on this. I'm thinking maybe just a bit of a gel crayon background, maybe, because there's quite a lot of white, isn't there? So, although it's in my finished pages, I'm half thinking I might do a quick background on it at some point. But yeah, it's quite a fun first go in this one. I appear to have got scratches all over the front somehow already. I don't know. As soon as it comes on my desk, that's it. It's like a kiss of death for any nice book cover. And the other one that, again, is on the channel this month that you could have seen was this one in Summer Nights by Hannah Carlzon. This is the artist edition. I think I did just get this from Amazon, but I think they've stopped making these now, so they're a little bit harder to get hold of. But yeah, I'd used these for my grabby paint background, so I did all of this background in watercolour paint. I've used it quite thick because I did want quite a dark colour tone on the background, and then I've sponged some of the other colours on top just for this kind of speckled effect that's going on in the background, which I quite like. And then I did use my luminance and Holbein for all the colour pencil work in it. And I think that was it. Or maybe something a bit glittery. Probably, knowing me, it was probably the Signos again. Oh yeah, I think it was, because I've used the coloured ones as well, isn't it? So yeah, the Signo glittering gel pens. There's a little bit in the stamens and there's some in the stars. Probably a few other little bits and pieces as well here and there, just to finish it off. But yeah, quite enjoyed it. It did take quite a while, this piece. It probably seemed quite quick on the video. But yeah, this is on the channel as a full colour along. So the first one is the Gravy video to do the background, and then I did the colour pencil work as a part 2. So that's on there if you want to follow it along with fairly simple things. But yeah, quite liked it. And I've not worked in this book for quite a while. Well, book. It's becoming a loose leaf book. So yeah, it was quite nice to get Summer Nights Artist Edition out. Doesn't have anywhere near as many pages as my actual Summer Nights, which I've not actually ever worked in yet. I've only ever worked in this version because I had this first. Yeah, so those ones you'll have seen already. And then I think the earliest thing I did, I think the next thing I did this month was in Twilight Garden. This is a new book to me. I got it for Christmas this year. So Twilight Garden by Maria Troll. Yeah, so I thought it was about time I made a start in this one. I did pick both of these this month, but I did only get to one of them, unfortunately. But yeah, quite enjoyed working on this book. They're quite nice little, don't take too long, these little pages. And I did quite enjoy it. So the background is some Supervision rock mica layered watercolour, which you will be able to see in my coming up haul. I filmed it, but I've not released it yet because I've not edited it yet. So I'll show you them a little bit more in there. But yeah, they're quite nice as the background, aren't they? I've used it quite thick in the bits between the drawings, which is why you're seeing quite a lot of the mica coming through, and then really watered it down on the edge, so you're still seeing a bit of the same gold mica coming through, but you see more of the actual colour of the paint, this kind of tealy blue coming through. But yeah, so far that was my first page that I've used them on, and I've quite enjoyed them. I think they'll make some quite nice backgrounds. Then the actual colour pencil work is my usual luminance mixed with Holbein's And yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. I've not done anything with flowers on for a few months, I don't think, really, but yeah, quite enjoyed it. And I did all the flower work on this first of all, that I really enjoyed, so it was quite colourful, and I thought I want the bird to be a bit of a contrast, really, so rather than kind of going with my kind of browns and usual colours, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do in black and grey, and then he's a real contrast to the colours in the background. But yeah, it was just quite a reasonably quick page, but yeah, I quite enjoyed this month in, yeah, this book, Twilight Garden by Mary Troll. Then I also tried working in this one this month. Sorry, I've got bookmarks everywhere and they're getting on my nerves now, so I shall move them. So again, this one was a present, I think a couple of years ago now. Possibly not this Christmas, the Christmas before. It might have even been before that, but yeah, this one was kindly bought for me as well. Jasmine Beckett Griffiths, Mermaids. And I did think this month, do you know what, A, I've not worked in this book and I really need to try to. And B, I want to see what the paper's like before I plump on purchasing the Christine Caron book. I don't know what it is about mermaids. I kind of have a love and hate thing with them. For a lot of the months I'm like, no, I don't want to colour mermaids. I don't know why. Just don't feel like it. Don't want to colour them. But this month I really felt like colouring them. So I was quite glad I kind of picked this in my monthly pages. I can't get to the page. It's not going to reach. There we go. So yeah, I did this one out of this page. And yeah, it was a bit of an experiment. This book does not want to lay flat. And as you can probably see, I did, although crumbs, I don't even know how I get bits of pencil shavings everywhere, but I do. Let's get rid of them. I did watercolour in this book, and this is the problem that I'm finding, that because the spine will not lie flat, that obviously as your watercolour's drying, it does cause a few problems. I did have it clipped a little bit with some bulldog clips, but I still find it was a bit of a fight to get it to sit flat so that the colour would dry flat and not kind of all fall into the spine, which obviously I didn't want. Background is my Culture Hustle Stuart Semple watercolour palette that was, again, a present that somebody bought me for Christmas. Lovely watercolours in that. The colours were really quite vivid, so all this kind of background was in those first of all, and then once that was dry, I kind of felt I wanted it a bit blingier, so I did use a little bit of my own handmade watercolours, not all over, just in some sections. And I think, did I use some Renaissance? Oh yeah, but not in the background. So yeah, you can see her tail is very, very shiny. That is the Renaissance paint over the top of, I think I coloured her tail in Holbein's first and then put the Renaissance over it, so you can kind of see my colouring from some angles, and then other angles you can just see the paint depending on what. So yeah, the background and her tail are pretty sparkly. Yeah, I really enjoyed working on this month. Like I say, I'm not normally a mermaid colourer. I don't know why. Anti-mermaid. And as much as I love Jasmine Beckett Griffiths, the big eyebrows do kind of put me off a little bit. But she didn't seem to be too eyelashes. Try the right words, Wendy. She didn't seem to be too massive eyelashes, so I thought we'll give her a go, although she's a bit sulky looking, isn't she? But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Skin was, for her face, is Luminance and Derwent Drawing. I have no doubt I did carry that on down her body. Tail, like I say, was Holbein's. There's some Artex paint marker on there, obviously, because every page I do has some of that on it. And I think that's pretty much it, really. Yeah, I quite enjoyed doing the little fish. They were quite fun as well. I don't think I've done like proper, recognisable clownfish. I don't know what this is. I did make this one up a bit, I think. I did kind of go for the real colours for those ones, but then I was like, I don't know what that fish is, but it's going to be those colours because that's what I've decided. I wanted something that was a contrast to the clowns. And I just, penciled back in. You could see a little bit of the shipwreck in the background, which obviously went quite faint when I'd watercoloured over, but I did just very faintly go over with coloured pencils just to kind of bring it back again, because I kind of thought it was Yeah, a nice bit of the background. It'd be a shame to lose it. But yeah, I'm not a great watercolourist, but I've done a little bit this month. And yeah, quite pleased with this background. And the paper, well, I don't know how well you can see. As you can see from that angle, it has warped a little bit. It seemed to warp more when I put this stuff on the tail. Now, whether I got that too wet, I don't know. But it's not too bad. And I think once it's been in the bookcase a little bit, it will flatten off a little bit more. But yeah, some of it's warped a little bit more than others. You can kind of see. I've got like a ridge here that seems to be the worst bit. But yeah, like I say, I didn't notice it till I did the tail. So I think I got the tail too wet. But it doesn't really affect the finished look of it, does it? And I'm quite pleased, A, that I've done it, and B, that I've worked in this book. And I'm quite pleased with the results. So obviously May is coming up. And now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll do another one. I think what I've decided is I prefer the slightly bigger ladies in this book. Like, these don't appeal at all, the little small ones on the side. But these more large ones, I think I find a bit more interesting. So I'll probably do the larger faces. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'll get round it at some point. But I was thinking I was going to do these ones originally. I think I picked out this one and possibly that one in my when I was picking my pages at the moment. But yeah, when I came to do it, I thought, no, I'm going to do a full page. I'm going to do one of these. But yeah, I am quite pleased with her, really, for a first go in this book. And like I say, I'm not going to say I'm a mermaid hater, but I don't fully love doing mermaids. I've not quite figured out why. But yeah, quite pleased with it. Looking forward to trying some more in this book, I think. I might try and do another one this month. I do quite like that. It keeps popping open to me. It's calling to me. But my first one in Jasmine Beckett Griffiths' Mermaids colouring book. Quite pleased with myself for doing that one. Then, this book has been in my work bag for months and months. So I think I maybe started this page possibly in November, I don't know, something like that. This is Tales from the Witch's Cottage by Hannah Carlson, in case you don't know which book. And yeah, I've been playing about this one for a while and not getting a huge amount with it, but yeah, finally got it finished. Yeah, it's taken a long time, and I did think at one point, I'm never going to get this page finished. Just that it sounds ridiculous. I mean, obviously, I've had it at work, so it's very small moments of time that I get to do any of it. I might do it. I go in to work quite early, so if I've got there early and I've set up my classroom and I've done all the things that I wanted to get done, I might get 10, 15 minutes with my cup of tea in the morning and do a little bit of hair, and then the next day do another little bit of hair and something like that. The hair seemed to take forever, but because I'm using just little tiny bits of time. The hair was Don't Pro Colour with Don't Light Fast, and I think I did have one Holbein, like my super light like lilac out of my Holbeins, but it's mainly the Pro Colour and the Light Fast, and just the little highlights were in a little bit of the Holbein. And the hair did take me so long building up the little layers, because these are not massive pages anyway in these smaller format of books. So yeah, just the small bits of hair just seem to take forever. The rest of the work, because it's my school set, is mainly luminance. I have like a handful of 10 Holbeins in my school set, and I've just added a set of macarons, brute thinner macarons, to my school set, but I didn't have them while I was working on this, so this will be, just like I say, a very few set of Holbeins, and mainly my luminance that are in here. My background is my own watercolours. Again, I've set up a little black palette full of some of my spare watercolours, so the background and this kind of coppery coloured frame is also my own watercolours that's in that background. Anything else on here? I think that's it. Oh, just a bit of Artex. Yeah, when I brought it home I've just used a little bit of Artex just to finish off some of the bottle lines and things like that. Oh, no, I might have used, what are they called? Karan Deco pigment marker just on a skin. I think I did use one of those as well. But yeah, apart from that, just, yeah, my Artex markers. This one of my paints has a little bit of glitter in that, you know, the gold. I don't know if it's catching the light, not really, is it? But other than that, it's mainly just pencil work, really. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with this, really. I don't know if her skin on her face is a little bit flat, but I've got to the point where I'm kind of sick of seeing this, really. I think because I've been working on it for so long, over such a long period of time, I'm kind of like, no, I'm over it. I need to just stop. I don't want to do any more on it. I'm sick of seeing it. I want to do a different page. So yeah, that's my page in Forest Kingdom. I've not worked a huge amount in this book. I think it's about my 3rd page in here. So I'm glad I've got another one done, even if it has taken me forever. Hannah Carlson, Tales from Forest Kingdom. Then I've done 2 double pages. I will do the one that I found most difficult first, because I love this book. It's one of my favourite books, as you'll know if you've watched me. Vintage My Room by Chinzo. It's a beautiful book, but this page has caused me problems this month. I picked a double because I thought, oh yeah, I've got a bit more time, because I had some time off from school. I'll have time to do a double. Then, yeah, I started on this page. We might have to zoom out a bit. Oh, it just about fits, doesn't it? Then I painted this background colour, and I hated it. Well, I first started painting this background colour in a different brand of paint. Don't know why I did it. And then looked at it halfway through and thought, oh no, it's drying shiny. I can't deal with shiny paint in my book, so that had to be painted over. And it was this bit that you've got to paint round, all these little tiny little details. That was the bit I'd started with. Why? What an idiot. So then I had to paint all that bit again. So as you can imagine, that did take quite a while, and obviously it takes more than one coat. And if I'm really honest, I don't love this colour. It works for this page, and the kind of feel that I'm going for in this book is kind of very retro, and it's the right colour for the book and for the pages, but I don't like it as a colour. I find it a bit depressing. I know that's maybe a bit just me. And once I started to get a bit of colour in, I kind of felt a bit better about it. But when I was just looking at it with just this green, I know this green is very trendy now, but I'm old, and it just reminds me of back in the day, and I find it a bit depressing to look at. So yeah, for the first time with this book, I kind of like, oh, do you know what? I don't want to work on this page anymore. I really don't like that colour. I did half nearly paint back over it again. If it perhaps didn't have this beady curtain thing on, I maybe could have painted it out, but I couldn't face painting around that again for the umpteenth time. No, couldn't do it. So I thought, no, I'm just going to make everything else really quite bright as a bit of a contrast. And I did up and on about putting a really bright colour on the wood, but I thought, no, it would be wood, wouldn't it? If I'm going to do it retro, it needs to stay kind of wood colour. And I did kind of feel better once I got the wood colour in. Somehow it seemed to warm the palette up a little bit for me. And yeah, I found it easier to work in once I'd got that panel in all the way across the bottom, and the same colour palette was in the kind of inlaid wood on that little section there. And then everything else, like I say, I just wanted to keep to this kind of warm palette, so I've kind of stayed in red, orange, yellow for most things. Obviously this green kicks back in, and there's a little bit of purple in there and a little bit of blue behind the pictures, because I kind of felt they needed a bit of contrast. But all this kind of stayed in these warm tones, and the same down here really. And I think that overall that works. I'm having a bit of an issue in that I thought it was the paint cracking at first when it first started happening here, but I've since realised that actually it's this page is actually seems to be coming out of there, because this is a stitch bound book, but somehow the stitches seem to be just releasing, because I've noticed the bottom section here is pretty much open now at the box. So I don't know how long this book's going to actually stay. I don't know if it's just because I've painted this a few times that I've weakened it, because I haven't worked either side of this page, but as you hear, it's not happy, that page, when you turn it. But yeah, the spine here was a bit tricky. You kind of can't get into these beads, and obviously it's part of the pattern that goes on, so that was a little bit annoying. Materials wise, I started off with a different paint, but I've painted over with my Arteza. It's just craft paint, so it dries quite matte, as you can kind of see when I flick it. There's no shine to it, which I prefer, for because obviously it's like it's an emulsion wall, isn't it? You wouldn't necessarily have a shiny wall, would you? Which is what I want. I started off doing some of this in my Cavendish Museum aquarelles, but I've kind of felt I wanted the colour to be a bit stronger, because I was watercolouring them in like I've done on, you know, some of the other pages. That's how I worked those ones. But I felt because I've got this green background that I wanted the colour to be a bit stronger. So I swapped to my Prisma, which I've never used in here, but actually they've gone on here really quite nicely. So this side is all Prisma. Some of this is Museum aquarelles. I think it's mainly this bit from memory. And the little telly that was in Museum aquarelles, but all of that is all in Prisma. The background is all in Prisma, the floor is all in Prisma. And as you might have noticed, there's a bit of Signo sparkling in the beady curtain. I was half thinking I might do them like they were lights, but once I put this green background in, I thought that's going to be too tricky to work over, to put any kind of lighting effects over the top of that green. So let's not make life too difficult, as this page is already a very complicated page. It has taken me a long time. I'm happy with it now, but like I say, I got to one point that I've had to shut it, and I worked on my other little double, which was this one, which will come up in a minute, because I was like, no, I'm over it. I can't get past the green. I shouldn't have put the green on. I like the green now. Now it's done and it's got a busy friends next to it. I think it works. And it was my vision for this page, if you kind of see what I mean. This doesn't feel like a modern home with all these bits and pieces. So it kind of needed to go with a palette that suited the objects in it. So that side of it, you know, yes, that was the right colour choice, but I just found that colour personally quite depressing. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? The things a colouring page puts you through. This book in particular just seems to do it to me all the time. But yeah, this, out of all the pages I've done in this, and I think this is the third double I've done in this book, this page has taken me the longest out of all of them, just because I have struggled with wanting to do it, which for me is unusual with this book. So you can pretty much guarantee that this colour will not be repeated in these great massive areas in this book again. I kind of feel like I'm just going to go with any colour scheme I feel like for the next pages, so that I continue to enjoy it. But yeah, this is my next recent double in Vintage My Room, with a very cracked middle spine. Don't look there too much. Yeah, please have got it. I think I prefer this side of the page more. I think there's a better balance of objects, and there's not as much of the green wall. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I do like this little housey thing up here, this house shelf thing with a cute little piggy in, because that's quite cute. And I like these little, are they little egg cups or these sauces? They kind of feel like they've got little spoons in, maybe the sauces. I don't know. And the little lammy jar. There's so many like little cute little things in here, and the little Russian dolls, and half a cat bum that you can't see behind the dolls. Yeah, yeah. I love the drawing in this book. It's interesting. It's unlike any other book that I have. And I am pleased I've got a double done, even if it has taken most of my holiday to do it. But yeah, another one in Vintage My Room by Chinzo. And then this one, Alice's Little Wonderlands. I've not worked in this for maybe a year now, But Alice's Little Wonderlands, illustrations by Francesca Rossi. This is a lovely book. I think I got this all the way from Malaysia from Book Excess, and I've not regretted buying it at all. It is lovely illustrations. And yeah, this was my relief from Vintage My Room. I went and worked in this one, which is not exactly a simple page by itself. And I've had my ups and downs with this page, I can't lie. It wasn't straightforward to begin with. I did all of the kind of sea background and sky in Neo 2's first, wetted them, and I kind of liked it, but it wasn't quite as strong as I wanted it. So once I'd done that, let that dry, then I thought, no, you know me, I want a bit of sparkle on it. It's water. It needs to look a bit more interesting than just the Neos by themselves. So then I did work my own watercolours, the ones I've made myself, over on top as well. And it took quite a lot of watercolour over the top. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it now. I did use a little bit of white Holbein watercolour as well at the top here. I kind of wanted it to look a bit more kind of sea foamy, if that makes any sense, and I kind of felt the Neos had left that a little bit too dark at the top, so I did kind of do all the Neos, I put the Holbein on the top, and then I added some metallic over the top of that, so you've kind of got a bit lighter at the top because of that, and I've done all the little water bubbles with the white Holbein as well. But yeah, really pleased with the seascape. Sometimes I can't make myself do seascapes, I get a bit bored with them, but I think because this seemed to have so many different layers within it, it wasn't just all blue. You had these kind of lines going across where I've got the green separating them. I kind of felt like it really needed a bit more thought about how I might work those so that they still looked like different layers, so it kind of kept me interested with it. And like I say, using the different water media over these, yeah, it did make it a bit interesting. And considering how much water media I've used on this page, because these were pretty wet at some points, and this is just, you know, a normal book. It's crinkly, you can hear I've used watercolour, and you can see it's a little bit bubbly, but I could still work this page, no problem. I'll probably wet this page when I come to do this side, because these little mice, rats, not sure what they are obviously in water as well. So, but considering how much I've wet this and how many layers of water I've had on this, I'm quite pleased with how it's flattened off. Then in terms of the actual little bits of drawing, that is all in Prismas. I've used my Prisms a lot this month, which again is quite unusual for me. They're a little bit quicker to work with, aren't they? I think that's the thing I like about a Prisma. And the colour is very vivid. And I wanted these fish and the creatures to be really vivid against this background that I'd spent ages on. So Prismas are, I think, are quite good to get that really strong, vivid colour. I wish the quality was better. I wish they weren't priced so ridiculously here in the UK. I could go on for a while, but I won't. I enjoy using them, but yeah, the price of them burns me. And yeah, I've got a few now that are this size that, yeah. I've not even used them that much. They just snap, 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 snap. Anyway, I'm moaning. I didn't mean to. So yeah, all the little, my little Alice, all these little bits and pieces, duck, otter, beaver, I always get them confused, I don't know, whatever that is. Some of these I wasn't sure what it is, like, what is this? I've done it like it's a fishy tail, but I wasn't sure it was a fishy tail. Was it another bit of him? It could have been his tail, couldn't it? Now I'm looking at it. Maybe it's his tail. Anyway, it's orange now, tough, sorry. And a little bit of, obviously, Artex paint markers is on here as well. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I've had fun doing it, and that was, as I was working onto this, that was what was really important for me because I was struggling with the other one so much. I just kept swapping back to this. Have a bit of fun, bright colours, sparkly bits. Oh, I'll go and do a bit more vintage my room, get it a bit further along. Isn't it funny? I think undoubtedly that colour, I realise, is something that's really important to me in my colouring, which probably sounds ridiculous, but bright colour, vivid colour. I find doing dull things that look dull in my mind quite tricky to kind of motivate myself to do more of it. This, however, just flowed along, no problems at all, because it was all bright, vivid. I was enjoying the background, the painting, because it's quite free-flowing and you can do what you want with it, really, can't you? It's not a set look. But yeah, and this was my last one this month, so yeah, these two took a long time, these two. I love them both now they're finished, and obviously this is one of my fave books. I'm glad I'm getting through it a little bit more. Still plenty to do in it though. I think I've done that little bedspread thing that I did with Kay, didn't I, as well? It's in here somewhere. I keep going past it. Where's it gone? Anyway, I've done another one, but I can't find it. And I think that was my second one in here. I did that one in here the last time I worked in it. I think that was all in Alberturas. But yeah, second page in that. I think that's my fourth page in this one. Ignore my memory scrolls. But yeah, that was it this month. That was all my colouring this month. Didn't get quite as much done as I wanted, but pleased with what I did get done. Challenged myself a few times and battled on with things that I was finding quite tricky to work through. So yeah, that was all of my colouring for this month. Which one do you prefer? I think if I'm honest, this might be my favourite this month. Although I did really enjoy working, surprisingly for me, on this one as well. Again, ignore my scrolls on the top. I think both of these I quite enjoyed. Both watery ones, quite bizarre for me really. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're doing something interesting with your colouring. Bye bye.